if I was to grade it, I would say 100 out of 100%. I've benefited a lot from the course. And I also benefited in such a way that everything that was raised in the course are things that literally affect my community in Uganda. And they may not be so fortunate to know really what is happening to them, but I was fortunate that at least I knew, the course brought me in close contact with what is happening there. I'm very grateful that literally part of the course that dealt with conflict especially, raises a lot of dialogue opportunity as well. And the challenges of dialogue in terms of resolving some of this conflict, and I think that benefited me a lot. But also within the context of conflict itself, you realize that conflict does not really happen anyhow. Sometimes people's livelihood are destroyed, and that also generates a lot of conflict. Everything the course had to offer had something to do with my community back in Uganda, starting also including the role of leadership, role of governance, rule of law and order, and so forth. So in totality, everything literally complemented each other, which I think I'm very grateful. So out of 100, I'll give it 100%. Yeah.
Well, we have already taken part in Refugees as Rebuilders training, and we are hoping to pick up a dinner discussion under Agenda for Reconciliation. Much as the conflict was nationally, and now that has brought now pressure onto the community. So the problem now has come, like, for example, the issue of land, because that is a big issue among our communities. I think what I've really learned from IFC, which is so good, is the community cohesion, because our communities try to work together, but the amount of issues at home is so devastating. People keep falling off and getting into individual bitterness, listening to each other so that you know what the other person is feeling or has, will help the understanding of where either things went wrong or what can be done. I feel that from learning from the network now I have in diaspora, with IFC, I can still work through the community to bring the community together so that they can highlight the problem, so that they can work towards addressing their problem, which is still ongoing.
Coming from a country, torn by war and, chaos and mistrust, I would like to gain more knowledge and more experience in this specific area related to peace capacity building, dialogue and conflict resolution. So I would like to build up Somali in a society back home in Somalia and here in UK, to build up a center of peace in Somalia, and at the same time to operate and work some kind of community healing or social healing here in UK, because of the same problem and violence and mistrust happening back home also, it's happening here. Whether I'm trying myself and my wife to develop a positive and constructive dialogue between different social segments and social groups, and then when the people dialogue and understand each other, develop a shared understanding, respect different views, understand other experiences and other feelings and other needs, they can come up some kind of compromise. So my hope actually is to continue what I'm doing now, to improve my skills, to train more young generation and to network, yes.
Actually, a friend of mine, whom we are from Sudan as well. She joined the course with the previous cohort, and she recommended this course for me. And what was interested me, Refugee as rebuilders. It was like, for me at the beginning, it was like The title itself had attracted me. Being as a refugee in the UK and being as somebody who trying to rebuild myself, that something has touched me, inside. I thought maybe at the beginning I wasn't sure, but now there is lots of things, especially in terms of as individual. I had now a better understanding about what is going on in life, what is going on around me, and having a better idea about why I'm here.
In a sense, if you have left it about 40 years ago, 50 years ago, and especially the older ones, do you really have Eritrean culture, in a sense? Because that Eritrea that you left has moved on, because it's possibly a different culture than you have. Possibly you have stagnated now in terms of your own culture, because you've got the Eritrean culture of 1978, or an evolved bit of the culture that you have. How do you mix that with the new ones? If someone has come here for under 11, let's say, or born here, and you tell them they're Somalians, Eritreans, Ethiopians, whatever are they? Are you really teaching them the Eritrean culture, or are you teaching them the Eritrean culture of the time that you've left Eritrea or other? Those are big questions that we need to raise as communities. My hope and aspiration to the future is, especially from my background, if I could have a role in facilitating where all Eritrean political entities could discuss the heart of the matter, the problem that we have. We seem to talk that we have problems, but we never sat down and said, what are the particular problems? Let us pinpoint and discuss that. And if I could facilitate that, I think that would be